I have been meaning to record on this topic myself, and I was like, oh, even better, I can have Nicole come on and talk about why it's like, you actually might not need more leads. So before we get into that, can you please introduce yourself for listeners?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm thrilled to be here with you, by the way.
Yes.
So I'm a retired psychologist. I did EMDR and couples for 15 years, and I loved it. But what happened is I just became sick of hitting the ceiling in my income, and then I became pregnant with twins. I remember thinking, I can't work more. So what do I do? So I actually did nothing for 2 years, but eventually I hired. And I scaled very quickly to 55 therapists in 3 years with the twins at home. And when I managed to do that and sell it in the 4th year, not to a private equity firm, I must say, I'm very proud of that.
Worth clarifying these days.
Yeah. I retired as a psychologist. That's the really short version. But I remember sitting by my pool and thinking, why don't I give people the map? I think I figured something out here where you can create something that runs without you. And that's when the Clinic Growth Map was born. And now I do business coaching just for therapists, just in North America.
It's amazing. I mean, so much of how you were able to scale is obviously by really dialing in certain parts of your practices, and that goes back to your sales process. So today we're going to be getting into why you might not actually need more leads, which is usually the focus in marketing, but it actually might be something else. So let's get into it. Tell me all about it. Hey there, I'm Kristie Plantica, and I'm the founder of Place Digital, a boutique marketing agency for therapists. This is Practice Marketing Insider. Each week, I examine one piece of outdated or overblown marketing advice for therapists and explain why it's inaccurate and what you should be doing instead.
It's so funny. I do all sorts of free events, and the marketing ones are always the most popular. And I think people listening are thinking, yeah, isn't that the answer? Not always. It's not always about traffic. Here's the thing. If you don't have a conversion engine and that marketing is working, that means more people are leaving your website. And it's so sad, Kristie, because there are phenomenal therapists, healers listening to my voice right now that aren't booked. And it's because they're working hard just on the wrong things.
I believe it. I post quite a bit about sales as well because we help our clients set up like the automatic text responders and being available 24/7 and getting people, booked automatically and just focusing on the sales process. And I think therapists hear sales terminology like having a pipeline and conversion rate, and it's almost like they're allergic to it. Like they do not want to go there.
Well, they're allergic to it, or I just don't think they know. So we have experts in my program, and one of them was saying, I went to book therapy and I called 5 therapists. Only one got back to me. And the problem is the leads are falling through the cracks. And I bet you those 4 other people are in the Facebook group saying, I'm not busy. They have no idea that the leads might be actually coming in, but they're falling through the cracks. And I think 3 things are happening. So either they're not responding to the phone call, the contact form, the email, because they just don't have a system, or they're slow to respond. And in this world, we can't be slow anymore.
No.
Or they just don't have a follow-up system. People need a follow-up sometimes. I think that we're all pretty burnt out living on this planet these days. And people who need help were motivated at midnight when they sent that contact form. But then today they're going to go back into their avoidance and please follow up with that.
Yeah, I think it's almost client care at that point because, I mean, I've been there, and I am that motivated therapy seeker. But I think also as a therapy consumer, a client, if I kind of feel like the process is clunky, I kind of assume that the level of service might be as well, which isn't always true, right? It's like you can be a phenomenal therapist, but you're responding in 1 to 2 business days or whatever. But I think as a consumer, consumers are becoming more savvy. We can overnight ship whatever we want at this point. It's like you want that experience not to be lacking and you want to feel held in the process.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that funny? I'm the same. Also, I think we judge a little bit, like our inside voice, that if they don't have a great website, I think some people want premium prices, but they don't want a premium website. And so you can't have Ritz-Carlton prices if you're not looking like the Ritz-Carlton. I do think that, yes, if you're clunky or you're not updated, then it's going to impact them. I'd worked with 1,000 therapists, helping them all scale into a group, and you're going to relate to this. I also notice that they don't know where their leads come from. So they're investing in Google Ads and they ask, "Where did you hear about us?" And then either the person does not answer that question or they say Google. And then my members will say, "Well, does that mean SEO? Does that mean Google Ads? What do I spend my money on?" What's happening is the Google ad company is saying you have all these leads, but they're looking at their calendar and it's looking pretty bare. And guess who they blame? The Google ad company. Because they're like, "I'm paying you." But the problem is actually not always the ad company. It's that they don't have a conversion system and these leads are falling away, which is why I've created a CRM. You're actually the very first person to know. I created a CRM
What?
for therapists. I know it's not
Oh
even
my
like,
god.
yeah, for therapists. So they know where their leads come from and all leads land in one place. Cause I was so frustrated with my members constantly investing in the things and nothing was working because they didn't have a conversion engine.
We also build CRMs at Place Digital for our clients because we've seen it. Our most successful clients, they're hitting conversion rates 30% plus, and that includes a bunch of cold leads from Google and stuff. So I know this is like maybe a little off topic, but tell me about the build of it. Like, what tech are you using? Like, what does that look like on the back end?
Yeah, so it's called ClinicMonk and it launches to members in September. So it is a place where all leads land and you can finally see not only how many missed call, like they get a missed call text back, everything's
Yep,
automated,
nice.
but like how many contact forms, how many phone calls, but where did they come from? That's such a big thing. Like what marketing is actually working and what can I double down on? But the other big thing is the metrics. I know you said they're allergic or because it's boring, but sometimes it's actually a show up rate problem. So in ClinicMonk, they see the stats. Here's all of my leads, all of my consult calls, all of my clients. They can see what's broken, and the bottleneck may not be conversion. What if it's their show up rate? They just hired someone and they're not doing a good job sharing the cancellation rate, for example.
I mean, that data, like the drop off at different points, because I really don't think you can overthink a sales process. I don't think you can ever stop improving it. And if you have the information to show you, it's like actually people just aren't showing up to the first session, or like they're not getting enough reminders to show up to their free consultation, or they're not getting that text fast enough. Like all of that data sounds
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to know exactly what's working. First, I say fix what's broken, or it might be their admin. I also show them like your booking rate. How fast is your admin actually responding? So, where is the friction? Where is the bottleneck? Fix that first and then turn on the tap. And then go to your marketing dashboard, which I give you, and you're going to say, okay, AI search is working. Perfect. I fixed the bottlenecks. Let's turn up the tap. And that's how I scaled so quickly. It's just knowing what metrics and what's actually broken.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the admin team because I think a lot of times it's not taken as seriously. Like, it's actually, I think, one of the most important positions in terms of driving revenue in a group practice. I think it's often kind of maybe delegated to someone who's not doing quite the best job, but it's the most important position, I think, in terms of actually, like, obviously getting clients in the door, but also just revenue in general. Like, if that position's off, the whole thing's off.
You know what's funny? So I help people hire, right? And those who hire an admin early on in my 6-month program grow twice as fast. They scale their group practice twice as fast. And the reason is they're outsourcing the overwhelm. They're delegating all of the minutia. They've cloned themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about like the different things I've just noticed across my own clients and what you've seen too. It's like the things where I know if they do X, Y, and Z, that it will go faster and it will go better for them. Interesting that the admin hire sooner, not just like in general, but hiring them sooner is one of
Yes.
those things that really, really changes the game.
Yes. And I think it's a mindset shift because, well, first of all, for those listening, please stop doing $20 tasks. That's the mindset shift. You're doing $20, $25 tasks where you can pay someone to do that. And why you grow so fast, and here's the bigger mindset shift, is because it feels like money lost. Like, well, if I can do it myself, why
Right.
don't I just do it? But if you could get them to do the revenue generating things like responding faster, being in your CRM, doing your consult calls, I'm starting to talk about that now, like training them, like they do the consult calls, they run the CRM, they're on top of the stats, then you're going to make tenfold back at $25 will be rocket fuel.
Yeah, I'm of the very firm belief that cutting costs isn't the way to make money. Just because when you're, I think, in a solo practice at first, those little cuts in costs can make a big difference. But I think once you get to a group practice, it's like some cutting costs is actually very antithetical to what you need to be doing to actually be generating more.
I'll tell you a secret that no one's really asked me. I think that how I grew so fast as a new mom, like 55 therapists, 3 years, is that I wasn't afraid to spend the money. I did a cost benefit analysis. I didn't throw it down the
Of
toilet,
course.
but I think you win. They say cash is king for a reason, but it's investing it and getting that high ROI, like working with you, for example, and then reinvesting it back. And that's when the snowball effect happens.
Yeah, definitely. And the admin is definitely one of those things. So, in your experience, what you've seen are those really high leverage things in a conversion process, in a conversion engine, across your clients, in your own experience scaling your practice. What are some of those things that you've noticed perform the best?
Response rate, as I mentioned, definitely. Having a CRM, I think, how can we not have one? Like, I don't know why we're not talking about this. Like, why aren't we? Every other industry has one.
Yeah. Mhm.
Also, having your admin do QA checks. Just the other day, Molly in my program from like Georgia, she was investing in Google Ads. Nobody was booking. She didn't know. She was blaming the ads company. But guess what it was? It was on mobile, her book now button, it wasn't working. So checking for what's broken and the friction. Because if they're coming, they're probably not converting. So that's number one. But I'll tell you the big one that might surprise people: availability. Especially if you hire again and again, if they say this one therapist isn't getting busy, because I work with groups, of course, it's either their photo or their bio, or most of the time, it's they're not offering enough shifts at the right time. People will bounce. I would. I'd be like, oh, Lucas has soccer that day. Like, we're busy. And then they bounce. Not because they didn't want to book, which is so sad.
Yeah, I think availability is really big. And we actually have an ROI guarantee in place with our clients, but we have certain things they need to do during, like, in the sales process, because it's like, we're not going to be held accountable if you're just not doing what you need to do to get these people in the door. And we require 20 hours of like free consult availability. And if that therapy seeker wants it, an additional 10 hours per clinician just for like a therapist consult. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're not going to have 10 hours of consults every week, but it's like you need the time in your calendar for people
Yes.
to book.
So
Absolutely.
I'm really curious your thoughts. So for the last 4 years doing this coaching, I always said, because I did this, get your therapist to do the consult calls. But I'm obsessed with my members. I'm constantly listening. And what was happening is therapists weren't booking. And it was very overwhelming for the owner because I have 5, 10, 20 personalities and I'm trying to rein in and train them all with role plays. So I've recently changed, and it's working in a big way, to have your admin be the intake coordinator. One person, one conversion rate. They're an employee, so you can boss them around. Like here we have a lot of contractors, so like they
Yeah.
can have clear KPIs, and it's been a game changer. I don't know what
Yeah.
your view of that is.
If you can't tell, I am super, super passionate about accurate, high quality marketing education for therapists in private practice. I am now offering a free 15-minute call for therapists scaling group practices who want my honest opinion on their current marketing situation. I've worked with dozens of group practices, hundreds of solo practitioners, spoken to thousands. I've truly seen it all at this point. So if you'd like to pick my brain for a little while, you can head to practicemarketinginsider.com to book that free 15-minute call if you're a group practice owner scaling your practice. And now, back to the show. That's my recommendation for multiple reasons. First of all, it's like they're going to be better at that job probably than therapists because their whole job is this. Right? So
Yes.
it's like them being dedicated to that role, I think is really, really important. And also their performance is tied to that. When we talk
Yeah.
about KPIs, like I think clinicians should be more responsible for like churn rate and retention. Sales stuff, obviously, they're going to be a dynamite therapist if they lock that in too. But yeah, I totally agree. And a lot of it is just that availability piece too. It's like your job is taking these calls. We even got an email from one of our clients 2 days ago. They had the great problem of we have so many people coming in. My admin is getting overwhelmed. And I understand wanting, of course, to protect your admin's energy, but it's like this is the job and this is probably the most important thing that you're
Yes.
doing.
And then just hire. That's more of a hiring problem I'm hearing. I believe it shouldn't be your front desk person. I had 6 admin and they were constantly interrupted. I think the waiting room should be a place that they get to exhale, sip a tea, listen to
Yeah.
music. And the admin is client acquisition all day. Emails, phone calls, consult calls, booking, conversion rate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think in the beginning, maybe some therapists have to kind of make, some compromises with that role. But yeah, definitely that. And we've also, this is kind of like best sales practices in other industries, is having like a sales escalation path in place. So you kind of talk to an intro person and then having the option to also meet your therapist before you book with them. That feels really good to someone in a sales process, that then they're being handed to the expert, the one that's really going to be able to meet their needs. So, and it doesn't have to happen. Some people I think are ready to book right away. They're like, hey, I got it. I trust
Yeah,
you. We can move forward with this person. But having that option, I think also really helps.
totally.
So, we're talking about obviously friction points, checking what's broken, having a really, really good person on the front desk. Is there anything else that you've seen that it's like, this is what's usually missing, or that
Yeah.
it's been very powerful for me or my clients?
If the marketing is working and they're reaching out and you're getting traffic, but your website is not great, that's the problem, that they're just bouncing. And let me explain what not great means because that's pretty broad.
Yes. Yeah. I would love to hear that.
We have just really high standards these days, I think, that the design matters. That's the very first thing that they're going to notice is your design. And you want it to be, I've heard you say this, aspirational. So happy, smiley faces convert at 30 to 50% more. And
Crazy.
funny enough, Kristie, I didn't know this. So I had a very anxious man, and I
You're like,
thought
I
I
have
was
sad people everywhere on my
yeah, I
website.
thought until my branding person was like, "Stop it." I thought, like, they're gonna land here and feel empathy because 'cause I'm a therapist and I want them to feel like, "Oh, that's my life." And she said to me, "I understand, but that's not what sells. When you see the sandals commercials and they look beautiful and no one's on the beach, that's what sells. They don't tell you
Yeah,
the plane
yeah.
ride there and the delay in the comfort food there." Yeah, so aspirational, give them what it's gonna look like after their time with you. And then absolutely, please have online booking. Most people book after 7 p.m. Jane App did a study and knows this, and we noticed this too. Our phone would start ringing at 7, which is why my admin stayed till 8. But people book that free consult and let them do it themselves. Give them that dopamine hit that help is on the way.
Yeah, or just when they're in that state of action, I think especially in today's society, we're just turning off because it's so much to just be alive in our world today. So getting them in that moment of motivation. I mean, when you think about how fleeting that moment is when someone is actually reaching out for help, this could be a decades long workup to this very moment. And then if you're not giving them the path to really cement that decision, I think it's a disservice, honestly,
Yeah.
to that person's journey to getting there.
Their research also tells us, which is so interesting, is that when you book your own consult or appointment, you're more likely to show up for it as opposed to a contact form back and forth and then eventually they book
Yeah.
for you. And I think it's probably because you did it, you know your schedule, but you're way more likely to show up. And here's what matters. And this is why, back to the stats and metrics, even if you get everyone listening, if you get a 10% bump in your show rate, my God, that's like something you fix. You spent very little effort and very little money, but it's just knowing, that that's broken.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And I can see it. It's like you filled out the whole thing. You're like, oh, fine. I mean, it's like how we book other appointments too. So it makes sense. But any tips for combating ghosting? I
Mm,
know it's a
how
big
broad.
issue in the therapy industry just because that moment is so fleeting. But yeah, what have you seen works for getting out of ghosting?
Now, when you say there's a couple of ghosts. One
Yeah.
is the one where therapy is going really well and then they vanish and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, I feel like we were doing great." The second ghosting is they do a consult and then they just don't book. And I think for both of them, I guess it's the same strategy. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I'm going to hit you with more research. I'm all about that today. Research says that if you follow up, "Hi, I noticed you haven't booked yet, or I noticed you didn't rebook. Just wanted to check in. We're thinking about you. Give us a call back." You get a 20% bump in sales. Every industry knows this, which is why their sales team is like literally spends half a day with all the follow ups. Therapists have been brainwashed that this is solicitation, which is so sad because we hear all the time from clients that every human being wants to be seen and they feel seen. They're often like, "Oh my god, I thought you wouldn't notice. Okay, yes, I'll come back."
Yeah, like I thought you kind of forgot about me, or maybe I'm just like another person in the machine. Because also, like in our healthcare industry, and Canada is different, obviously, but probably the same thing. You do feel like you're kind of just a sheep being herded, throughout an experience. But yeah, I think having that additional thought, it's like, hey, we met the other day and I haven't heard back from you, but I just wanted to see if you wanted, to move forward or maybe talk to someone else to help you feel good about moving forward. That's beautiful. And I think busy people do need that.
They do.
It's
I'm
like
one of
when you're
them.
balancing a million things in a day and it's like, I haven't even gotten to my email from last week. It's like, yeah, if you could just make it a little bit easier and kind of remove the mental load from someone, so
Yeah.
powerful.
One other strategy that works to be more in prevention rather than in reaction is pre-booking. On the consult call, your intake coordinator should be booking 4 to 6 sessions. And anything more than that, I think it feels like a lot for people because 'cause they're like, "We just
Yeah.
met, like, I can't marry you yet. Like, let's hang out a little." But this is how I said it and how I teach. It's like, let's get you into the calendar Wednesdays at 2 so you can work your life around it and you have something to look forward to. It's a slot that will be dedicated to you. You can cancel anytime within our cancellation policy. And we do that on the consult so we don't waste any time in the sessions. And that really prevented ghosting because it was a commitment early on.
Yeah, I've been hearing more and more of that. It's like, just book a couple, and like let them know it's like we do have a cancellation policy, but it looks like this if you ever need to. Yeah, I love that because when you talk about the friction points, I just think about all the friction points that we go through just on a day-to-day basis. Like there's always a million things pulling at our attention. So if at least this can be cared for you, it's almost like a concierge approach to therapy. And like what a beautiful thing to be able to offer. It's like I don't only have like your treatment, I have like your experience with us.
Oh
We
my
got
God.
this. It's
Yes.
like you can just come here and get your little tea. We have our little water thing, our little water fountain going
Yes.
on in the background, and like we gotcha. It's beautiful.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. Aren't we
Yeah.
lucky?
Yeah, we are so lucky. I have noticed with my clients, the ones that are obsessed with their CRM, they're checking it. Their admins are checking it constantly, and they are watching that little pipeline like you wouldn't believe. They always have higher conversion rates.
Yes.
Always.
I'm one of those people. I think those people who are in my program, I teach people how to hit the $1,000,000 mark. So I know I'm like a unique, person. So I have high achieving, like the 1,000 therapists I've worked
Yeah.
with are like mini me's. But it makes sense. Like if you're going to lose weight, you're going to get on that scale to see like, is my progress actually working? You're going to measure it. And then it's more motivating because I'm making progress. High five, let's go and keep doing what
Yep.
we're doing, or let's pivot. And I think that there's more people listening that once they get a taste of a CRM, then they're addicted. Because it's when you
Yeah.
get in there and you're like, "Oh, wow, this is everything. All my leads, my consult calls, my clients, everything's right here." It feels
Yeah.
tangible for once.
Yeah. Yeah, and organized, and this is what I always say to my clients and, like, excited because this episode will be released probably when ClinicMonk is available, which is
Right.
exciting for anyone who's interested in it, but I always tell my clients it is more complicated for sure because you are using a Google Sheet, alright? This is more complicated than your Google Sheet, but it is so much more effective, and it suits a business of your size.
Yes.
Google Sheets thing, it's not enough, it's not adequate.
And it's expensive because you're paying an admin their admin time and there's potential human error or you're doing it. Please don't be doing that. Like you should be working on more vision stuff. I kind of akin it to an EHR. So I'm going to explain the difference actually, because a lot of people don't know the difference. The way that I see it is a CRM is where all of your inquiries and leads live. The moment they become a client, then they're moved into your EHR, Simple Practice, Jane App, whatever you use. And so a lot of people don't have anything in the front end. They have no sense of what's actually going into the EHR. And then they're frustrated that they're not growing.
It is really all about tracking. 'Cause obviously, therapists are so unique and they have, there's a practice. It's a business, but it's also a practice. It's a beautiful thing, like therapists having that relationship to their businesses. But a therapy business is a surface-based business at the end of the day. Like I always say this, I would have a similar approach to marketing therapists that I would a plumber, that I would an accountant.
Yes.
And it's just the best practices. And that's actually very relieving to me because people have worked out these issues, right? It's like we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Like we can look at other industries and say, oh, if I just follow up with that person, they're so much more likely to book me for next year's tax season. Like
Yes.
that's not that complicated. So I think being able to find comfort in like those metrics really, really matter. And because you're just like a higher volume business, like you're working with, potentially like hundreds and hundreds of weekly sessions at your practice, those metrics can actually really, really matter. Even like a 10% bump, a 5% bump. Huge.
Yes. And I think the biggest frustration that led to the invention of ClinicMonk was I get this still. So it's like, okay, I'm investing this much in Google. This is how many leads I'm getting in, this much in SEO, but they don't know what's working or it is working. And I think human nature, if something's working after a while, it kind of feels boring and you want the next shiny thing. And so often in my coaching, I look at them and I say, is it working? And they say, yes. I say, what is the path of least resistance? Push the lever twice and you'll probably double your leads. Like if the lever is currently working, then double down on it. And with the CRM, they finally have visibility.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine working with entrepreneurial therapists, you're very much like shiny object syndrome. You're like, look, I get it. Like I'm the same way, but let's like roll it back a little bit. I could totally see that. So we are at time. How can people find you? If people are interested in learning more about your CRM, working with you, where should they go?
Sure. I have a podcast. If you are podcast people, The Business Savvy Therapist, every single Tuesday, a new episode comes out. I also have a weekly free webinar. It's a masterclass, how to build a 7-figure group practice. If you're like, ooh, that sounds kind of cool to work a bit less and have people work with me. Or ClinicMonk. It is going to be unveiled in the fall, and I'll give you the link. They can click that for more info.
And is that going to be available to people outside of your program as well? Or is it exclusive to people who work with you?
It's for everyone. I'm so excited. So I have, yes, on Instagram, I have a pretty big following and I always get asked like, oh, I'm not going into a group, or, can I work with you in some way? And the answer is typically no. I have one program and it's just to scale into a group. But I want to give everybody this. So it's available if you are a therapist with a private practice.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for bringing the research to back all of this up, your vast experience helping many, many people do this over the years, and of course yourself. And yeah, please get in touch with Nicole, follow her, listen to her podcast. I guarantee you will learn a lot.
So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And that's it for this week's episode. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Kristie_PlaceDigital. If you're interested in working with me and my team, you can head over to placedigital.com. I'm Kristie Plantinga. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.